And to do it in a postseason atmosphere, sense of urgency is high. Ball up for grabs to start off. It will be the Huskies with the basketball.
And this is a Washington team playing very well. Coming into this tournament, they have won 4 in a row. Offense has been really impressive.
Let's check in with the third member of our crew, Caroline Pineda.
Well, you guys talked about the matchup between these two teams a week ago. Grace Grholski told me that can either be an advantage or a disadvantage. We want to make sure it's an advantage. Minnesota head coach Don Plitzewite said there is a great deal of familiarity, but we have to be disruptive and can't let Washington get too comfortable.
Sellers going behind the back. That off arm comes out and a turnover. But Caroline brings up a great point from her conversation with Coach Plitzewite. You think it's always an advantage when you have that freshness in your mind, but there's still a lot for them to try and tune up.
Yeah, and I love what Caroline said about the disruptive defense, because this is such an efficient Washington offense, free-flowing. You want to make them feel uncomfortable. And Mallory Heyer gets things started for the Gophers.
One of the most unheralded players in the Big Ten, defined by versatility. She can knock it down from long range. As a front court player, always a threat from outside. Briggs being guarded by Sophie Parks, bringing her out to the perimeter. Under 10 to shoot for the Huskies after turning it over on their first possession. Delia Daniels maybe not aware of this. 3 seconds left. It is Sellers having to heave it up. Had a great look.
Yeah, a little bit of a stagnant possession there from Washington. A lot of passing around the perimeter.
Jordan McKinney will drive, drop it off to Hart. She's surrounded by nearly every Husky, and she'll cough it up, something Minnesota does only 11 times per game. That is top 10 in the country. Ledeen positioning, kissing it off the window.
We talked about just how good Elle Ledeen has been all season, but specifically in Big Ten play at 5'11". Such a smooth guard with length, and she glides right to the rim to get the scoring going for the Huskies.
Another 3 launch. That time Grace Grholski, another 3-point threat for the Golden Gophers. In transition, Sellers, lethal from long range. We are surrounded by 3-point shooters in this game. And that a foul drawn from Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota got lucky there. Transition defense, you absolutely have to locate all of the shooters on the perimeter. Savia Sellers, one of the best in the Big Ten, second by percentage. So they got lucky that she didn't drain that one. She was wide open in transition.
Hart one-on-one against Daniels. The lefty hook doesn't go, but she had a deep post position there. Daniels named to honorable mention, all Big Ten, goes to set a screen. Playing in her home states. Working in the paint, Minnesota closing out on those shooters. That's a deep 3 from Steins, and that's far off. Maya Battle calling her own number, splash, and Minnesota, a great start, 2 of 4 from the floor.
Yeah, Minnesota loves to see Maya Battle aggressive, off the bounce, that time pulling up. She's got such elevation from the point guard spot.
She has put significant time into her shooting. She can also be disruptive defensively, but steps out of bounds there. It's still Washington basketball.
Yeah, we talked about the versatility of Maya Battle, how she impacts the game on both ends of the ball. And here, defense falling back a little bit. Hand is down, and Battle at 5'11", shooting over the top. Ooh, she was whistled for an out of bounds, but based on that sideline angle, not so sure she did.
Might have had the pick 6 right there. 5 to shoot. Steins leaving it for Ledeen. She's off target, flying back in, and putting it up for 2 is Chloe Briggs attacking the glass.
When you shoot a lot of 3-point shots, you're going to have some long rebounds, so good awareness from Washington to crash that offensive glass.
Battle the long 2, misfires that time. And Washington looking to push. Ledeen, jab fake, yes!
Such a quick release, and she just used that jab step so effectively to get the defender to just fall back a step, and then she doesn't need much time or space, shooting 44% from 3 in Big Ten play this year.
And nearly 20 points per game against Big Ten opponents, teams she's never seen before as well. remarkable season. Battle, couple dribble pull-ups. She's feeling the mid-range right now. Is missed back-to-back. Monica Stewart calms it down off the glass.
Minnesota, probably the better rebounding team amongst the two. And Monica Stewart with some size inside. Both teams have attacked the offensive glass.
Hadeen taking Battle off the dribble, and she'll be whistled for the foul. Minnesota led by Dawn Plitzowitz in her second season. This is a program that hadn't won 20 games since 2018-19 in her second season, consecutive 20-win seasons for the first time since 2019. Coach Tina Langley, who took Rice to an NCAA tournament, ending a 14-year drought, looking to end a similar drought at Washington, have not been to the NCAA tournament since 2017. Minnesota again, another stop in the half court. Washington shooting under 40% to start. McKinney, too strong from three. And it will be Washington basketball approaching the midway point of this first quarter. Maybe teams trying to find their footing here so far.
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit of time to settle into a tournament setting. You're in a big arena. The crowds aren't maybe typically what they are for a home game. You got to bring your own energy a little bit.
Quick swing deep in the corner, the three. That time no good from Coppinger, one of the best three-point shooters in the conference. Minnesota holding them to one and done. Grocholski looking deep into the post. It is higher, the spin move. Doesn't have it that time. And the rebound ripped down by McDonald. Steins being guarded by the freshman McKinney, is going to reset, one of the best conditioned players in the Big Ten. Sprinting to the rim, the hard work pays off.
And that's a result of how good Washington is from behind the arc, because they are being overplayed, and that time Steins coming off of a back screen, and McKinney wasn't ready for it.
Steins 11 points the last time these two teams met just 1 week ago. Stewart wants it against Ledeen. 6'3", going to work, turns around, it falls out. Higher, working the glass, the blue collar mentality working for the Gophers.
Yeah, Mallory Hire, the best rebounder for this Minnesota team at just 6'1", finds a way to battle inside.
Does all the hard work, can fill the stat sheet herself. They're not looking for the praise either. Here's Ledeen slicing through the defense to the cup.
Ledeen is just so smooth, moving with the ball. That's gonna have to be a key, is keeping her in front. I mean, it's tough because she's so good from the outside, so you really have to play her honest and respect both the drive and the three-point shot.
McKinney, another look at a three. She's got it. Second three today for Minnesota.
And they would love those to fall at a higher rate, just 5 of 20 in that first meeting a week ago.
Briggs directing traffic, now back in the hands of Steins. 5 seconds to shoot. She's in trouble, driving, dishing it off. 1 second left. Coppinger misses everything, and Minnesota's half-court defense looking strong to start. They have a 1-point lead with 3 minutes to play in the first quarter.
Washington, known as the three-point shooting team, but Minnesota has knocked down a couple of their own. The freshman, Tori McKinney, like in Big Ten play.
Washington, by its efficient standards, a slow start so far, 1 of 6 from beyond the three-point arc. Against Minnesota 1 week ago, they started the first quarter 4 of 16, went absolutely scorching the rest of the game.
Yeah, they fell into a deep hole. They were down by as many as 12 early in that second quarter, and then just a ridiculous offensive output. It was highlighted by 26 points from El-Ladine. She was 4 of 4 from behind the arc in that game, and she's got a quick 7 points so far to start this one for Washington.
A 1-point lead for Minnesota in this 12-13 seed matchup to begin the Big Ten Women's Basketball Tournament. The first of 3 games today in round 1 as Groholski loses her footing right out of the timeout and turns it over. Meanwhile, Maya Battle, you just saw her there on the bench right now with 2 personal fouls.
Yeah, that is a tough one early on. We talked about how much she does. First of all, she runs the offense. She's their leader in steals, leader in assists, and a big-time scorer as well.
But you bring in Alexia Rose, a grad student who has an assisted turnover ratio of over 2 per game. So they'll want to get her back whenever that's right. 10 seconds to shoot. Steins takes the handoff, looks to get downhill. Washington's been struggling to find any kind of clean looks. That one bounces off back iron. Groholski trying to pounce on the ball, and it will be a jump ball possession arrow, giving it to Minnesota.
So far, impressed with Minnesota's perimeter defense. We talked about just how good Washington can be from behind the arc. They are closing out on shooters, high hands, just 1 of 6 from 3 for Washington. And Minnesota has forced them to really run that shot clock all the way down and have to force up an ill-advised shot a couple of times now.
2 minutes to play here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Quarter number 1, game number 1. McKinney has had a hot start this time. Barrels right to the rim. Gets her own miss. And higher. Now looking to attack. Rose too strong, and Washington now controls the courts. Ladine lighting it up from 3, exactly what the Huskies want to see here early.
Yeah, just a missed assignment from Minnesota. Just talking about how well they had locked up the perimeter. Well, that time they leave the best 3-point shooter wide open on the perimeter in El-Ladine.
Now, Kim, you mentioned her 26 points against Minnesota. She already has 10 here in the first quarter. McKinney will misfire inside, and now the energy on the side of the Huskies. Steins weaving, getting to the cup. She can't finish. McKinney working her way through traffic as well. Gophers playing without their point guard, Amaya Battle, on the bench with 2 personal fouls. Groholski will leave it off to higher. Had a 3 to start, that time far too strong. Ladine feeling it, moving it around the perimeter, wanting it right back against Groholski.
We'll see if they choose to hold it for 1 here. Just a couple of seconds between the shot and game clock, but they have been letting the shot clock wane down even without timing considered.
Ladine off a curl in rhythm. She's got another, and 12 in this first quarter. McKinney launching from half court. That is no good. And Washington with a surge at the end to lead by 4 after the first 10 minutes here in Indianapolis.
17 points per game on the season. She already has 12 here in the first 10 minutes.
I remember back in December when she made her presence known against Big Ten opponents, had 40 points against Northwestern, still along with Juju Watkins, the highest scoring game in Big Ten competition this season. And that certainly caught everyone's attention for the kind of talent that is going to come out of this Husky team.
Yeah, I mean, she was named to the All Big Ten second team. She's certainly playing like a first team member in these last couple of weeks, months, and you just look at the improvement from last season where she averaged about 12 points per game, has taken it up to 17 a game this season, and much more effective from behind the 3-point line.
Tyra Eke good on the second free throw. Minnesota, meanwhile, back in their offense, shooting just 29% from the floor. Stagnant to close that first quarter after a hot start. Here, the hesitation from Groholski. She can't hit the rim.
Yeah, they're certainly missing their leader, Amaya Battle, who is on the bench right now with 2 fouls. They're going to have to find a way to continue to generate some offense without her on the floor.
Battle so versatile, but really a floor general at heart, and missing that presence. Here's Brown from 3, and the Huskies dialing it up from long range, their 3rd today. And Coach Blitzowite calls a timeout for Minnesota, with Washington leading now by 8, 20-12. 9:17 remaining in the second quarter. It is round 1 of the Big Ten Women's Basketball Tournament. Thanks, Carolyn. Looking forward to that. So much action. We are officially in March and expecting all the drama, chaos, madness to happen here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the season certainly flew by, and it's just going to be so fascinating to see how this tournament plays out with the 4 new schools in the mix, so many teams ranked in the top 25, and there is an answer from Minnesota out of the timeout. And interesting to note, Sloan, Dawn Plitzowite putting Amaya Battle back in the game. She had been on the bench for a couple minutes with 2 fouls, but not much was happening offensively for the Gophers.
Before that bucket by Tori McKinney, Minnesota had been 0 for its last 6. Washington catching fire. They're 5 of their last 8 from the floor. Now under 10 to shoot on this possession. Another 3 is good. There's a foul underneath the basket, but Tegan Brown deposits another 3.
And this is a perfect example of just how dangerous Washington is from behind the arc, because as you see on that play, that was a different look defensively for Minnesota. They did a hard double team of Sellers, but she's able to keep her dribble alive and find yet another shooter in Brown. Pretty much anyone in a white jersey can knock down a 3 in this game.
Annika Stewart will pick up her first. This Washington team, the last 5 games, shooting nearly 46% from 3, and that's on great volume of shots, about 21 per game as well.
And a chance to double up the possession here with the made 3 and the foul on top of it to give them the ball back.
Sellers will swing. Brown wants another. Leaves it short that time. Gathered up by McKenna Johnson, her first action in this contest. McKinney has been toying with Eke. Battle playing with her 2 personal fouls. Coach Blitzowite must have not liked what her offense was doing with Battle off the floor, not just a scorer, distributor, directing traffic here too. McKinney, couple dribble pull up, and won't get the bounce. And a whistle, multiple players battling for that rebound. It's gonna go on Washington.
And we've seen how good Washington has been offensively, but Sloan, I've really been impressed with their defense as well. You can tell they are locked into the scout, knowing opponent's strengths, and they're just making everything really difficult for Minnesota to find a bucket, shooting just 30% to start this game.
That foul going on Briggs. Lob inside to McKinney, who contorts herself but can't convert. She's had some close looks right at the rim. Traveling violation is going to go on Steins, and back to Minnesota, still shooting under 30%. It's interesting, Kim, you bring up the defense of Washington in the half court. That's exactly what Coach Langley talked to us about before the game. We need to be more consistent on that side of the ball. That's something they're still trying to shore up at this point in the season.
Yeah, she feels like they have definitely taken some steps. And it looks like we're going to have a moving screen called against Minnesota. Called on Tori McKinney. Let's take a look at what happens. We see Tori McKinney on that elbow area. I didn't see too much movement on that one.
It was McKinney. I was thinking maybe Johnson more so.
Yeah.
The defense still holding Minnesota under 30%. Ladine now directing traffic, 10 to shoot, being guarded by Battle, who got a piece of it.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit more spring in the step defensively right now for Minnesota. More activity, more active hands.
McKenna Johnson, the lefty, will misfire from 3 and kept alive by none other than Mallory Heyer doing the dirty work on the glass. And she wants it in the post. Has the size, strength, advantage, up and under, unstoppable on that play.
Yeah, Mallory Heyer, a leader on this team, 5 double-doubles in Big Ten play, and just got her team a bucket when they needed it off an aggressive take.
She's leading this team with 7 points right now, 3 of 5 from the field, already 3 rebounds, had the first back-to-back double-doubles this season since the 2022-23 season. She can do it all. Delia Daniels has been quiet in this game so far, but she'll propel herself to the rim. Not that time, though. Sprinting out ahead is Heyer, who gathers and finishes on the run. Now Coach Langley is calling a timeout as Minnesota makes a run.
The defensive activity has picked up for Minnesota. It's allowed them to play with a little bit more pace, a little bit more confidence. Groholski up to Heyer. I like the intention to play a little bit quicker because Washington's half-court defense has been really strong. Not on that possession, though. Mallory Heyer just getting to the middle of the paint and then using the footwork to step around. And it is a bit of a run here for Minnesota. Good response out of that early timeout that Dawn Plitzowite had to call to start the second quarter.
Coach Plitzowite, first of all, calling that timeout not even a minute into the second quarter, which means you know she doesn't like what she's seeing. But talk to us before this game about, we know we are playing the most efficient team in the best conference in women's college basketball. We know we have to be disruptive, and those buckets starting from defense and rebound.
Yeah, and Coach Plitzowite taking a little bit of a gamble by putting Amaya Battle back in the game with the 2 fouls, but she has certainly changed the energy on this end of the floor.
Savia Sellers has also been quiet in this one. Misfires from 3. 0 for 3 overall. Groholski checking things out as she gets 2 feet in the paint. Johnson getting some early minutes. She'll try to sprint to the rim and gathered up by Sellers, igniting the fast break for the Huskies. Ladine is going to retreat. It's been hard to get those looks inside to Daniels. Minnesota somehow able to protect the perimeter and pack the paint simultaneously. Here is Steins, the hesitation, and the finish off glass.
Yeah, just the little hesitation to make that defense think she was going to kick it out, and then she just puts the Jets on for that one more step to the rim.
She was slippery on that play and needed by the Huskies to try and rebuild this cushion. Battle playing with 2 personal fouls will pick up her dribble. Poked away by Ladine, dialing up that defense.
Hannah Steins get into the paint a couple times now. Little hesitation, a second hesitation. Gets Heyer to just stand up and relax. You see it right here, and then blows right by her. Really nice take for Steins.
Battle directing traffic through the Hart screen. 3 seconds to shoot, sizing up. Sellers takes a bump. Hart working the offensive glass. Count it!
And those type of plays are going to be needed in a game like this where you've fallen behind a little bit. There's a lot on the line. It was a really nice take from Amaya Battle, and Sophie Hart in good position at 6'5" to just snag that rebound over the top of Delia Daniels, and she was pumped up after that M1.
One of the best offensive rebounders in the Big Ten, has consistently been top 5 all season long. One of the 10 Minnesotans on this team. Coming back as a transfer from NC State, was granted an extra year of eligibility to use next season.
We have a Minnesotan at the broadcast table. It's Sloan Martin.
Clearly the MO of this Gopher coaching staff, going right to the local product to build this program back up and trying to get this team back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2018, and they are on the cusp of doing that. This game, ultra important for both of these teams, but Minnesota especially, they have not had a quad 1 win this season.
Yeah, it's been impressive what Dawn Plitzowite has been able to do in just 2 seasons to get the top talent in the state. Tough take from Grace Groholski, who's had a little bit of a slower start. That's her first bucket of the game for the Gophers' leading scorer.
You may have thought she was just a spot-up three-point shooter shooting over screens with the ball in her hands through pick and rolls this season, post-ups, and then taking it on the drops. McDonald loses it, and miscommunication on that backdoor cut. Minnesota ignited now on the fast break. Groholski, the trailer, back time from 3.
Good look, though. I like that was in rhythm. She just had scored a bucket. She's feeling good. They'd love to get her going a little bit.
The Dean just has to force that one up. And Washington has really found, or rather lost its rhythm offensively. Still shooting, though, 45%.
And when we talked to Dawn Plitzowite about Grace Groholski before the game, she said she's been most impressed with how she's been able to diversify her skill set, not just the three-point shooter, as you mentioned. She's playing a lot more with the ball in her hands now. That time able to create herself on a tough tape.
Leads the Big Ten in minutes the last 4 games, nearly 39 minutes a game. That says a lot about her role and importance on this team.
The conditioning plan has to be serious.
You gotta find out that secret. Here she lets it fly off glass. Why not?
You'll take a bank shot in the Big Ten tournament. 3 points is 3 points. And she's heating up a little bit. 5 straight for Groholski.
7-0 run for Minnesota to tie up this game. They trailed by as many as 9 here in the first half in what's been a back-and-forth swing. Steins may have had a look at the rim there, decides against it. Sellers gets downhill. It's Ledeen stepping into a 3. Brought down by McKinney. Minnesota working the glass as well, leading in that category by 3.
This is a bit opposite from their last meeting a week ago. It was Minnesota who jumped back out to a big lead, and Washington came back. Right now, slower start for Minnesota, and they have tied up the game.
Oh, Ledeen threading the needle. She saw that multiple steps ahead.
Yeah, you cannot fall asleep on Washington in transition because of the skilled guards they have, and then, of course, the prowess they have on the three-point line.
She just crossed half court. I saw her eyes light up to Sellers to tell her what to do. Here's Groholski with a response.
Just about a minute or so ago, Grace Groholski was sitting on 0 points, and just like that, she is up to 8 back-to-back triples for Grace.
Under 2 minutes to play here in the first half at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, game number 1, day number 1 of the Big Ten tournament. That ball sent out of bounds, and it will be Washington basketball.
Grace Groholski, the leading scorer for Minnesota. She makes about 2 threes per game, and after a slow start, she's found the bottom of the net 2 times. And then El Ledeen, she's been slowed a little bit since her hot start, but able to find her teammate Sabia Sellers in transition.
Sellers will take it out underneath their own basket. Steins gets it away to Daniels, 7 on the clock. Daniels in this one still scoreless, just 0 for 1. 2 seconds to shoot. Ledeen fading away and cans it.
I mean, that is just a talented player right there. Shot clock winding down, not much going. That was a leaner, that was contested. El Ledeen has just been on another level the last couple of weeks. Minnesota
has not had an answer in the first game and the first half here for El Ledeen. 15 points. Had 26 the last time they met a week ago. Hart gets herself into some trouble, but somehow is able to kiss it off glass.
Yeah, that was well defended by Delia Daniels, but Hart just able to get that touch off of glass high up on the backboard.
Stein surveying tight defense from Rose. The Huskies have been hot and cold in this first half. Stagnant right here with 4 to shoot. It's poked away, taken by Groholski. Has just Sellers to beat and cannot convert. She's a little bit slow to get back to her feet. About 2 seconds separating shot and game clock.
Yeah, that one hurts. Those are the ones you want to capitalize on. Now Washington gets one more crack at the final shot of this half should they choose to run again.
Sellers tight roping baseline, quick ball movement by the Huskies. That just grazes front iron, but no one boxed out Daniels, her first bucket of this game. 2 seconds left, another heave by McKinney, and we head to halftime with Washington leading by 2. What a battle so far.
The main point that Coach Plitzweiss talked to us about against this very smooth, efficient, free-flowing Washington offense, she wanted to disrupt them.
Start of the third quarter, Amaya Battle playing with 2 personal fouls, sat for a little bit in that first half, but Coach Plitzweiss couldn't keep her there for long. As this go for offense went stagnant. Groholski gets the first look, leaves it short.
For Washington, Sloan, I'm looking to see if they can get anything more going inside with Delia Daniels. Maybe they don't need a 3-point shooting like that.
Sellers knocking it down, her first 3 in this conference. She's one of the best 3-point shooters in the Big Ten and needs to get going.
Yeah, that's now 6 triples for Washington, but I'd like to see if they can strike a balance and get Delia Daniels involved. That looks like, I thought I was going to say a charge, but it looks like a blocking foul against Minnesota.
Let's check in with Caroline Pineda.
Well, I talked to Tina Langley on the way out of the locker room about that first half for Washington. She said, look, it's simple. It's a great game. We have to fight. As for El Ladine, she said she made great decisions in the first half. On the Minnesota side, as they were mounting that comeback, of course, Dawn Plitzweiss was rallying her team, but so was Mara Braun from the bench. Her season cut short by injury for the 2nd straight year, but described by the coaches and the players as such a leader, and certainly seeing that in the first half.
Yeah, it's unfortunate with Mara Braun dealing with the same injury to her foot, but Coach Plitzweiss says pretty soon I'm just going to hand her the clipboard and say go for it, because she has been so vocal, supporting her teammates, but also making herself better, her basketball IQ, supporting plays like that, like Sophie Hart, but being that emotional leader as well.
Yeah, just we hope to see her get back on the floor. She is such a talented player, and I've said a couple of seasons in a row now, unfortunately hampered by season-ending injuries.
Sellers will swing deep in the corner, breaks, knocking it down in front of her own bench.
When they get that ball moving quickly, almost like it's a hot potato around the perimeter, it usually leads to an uncontested look, like that one there in the corner.
Coach Langley told us we are at our best when we're moving and sharing the ball. We're seeing that with this offense, and the defense too, with the stuff, igniting the fast break for the Huskies. Sellers tightrope looking along the baseline. Quick ball movement again. It lands in the hands of Ladine. Can't knock it down that time.
Washington was so dangerous in transition, playing with pace, didn't get the shot to drop that time.
Mallory Heyer had a hot start, didn't have the angle. Washington continuing to push the pace. Steins being guarded by Amaya Battle. There is the blow-by Daniels to the rim.
And there is the Delia Daniels that we have been searching for a little bit. Averages 12 a game. She got her first field goal right before that halftime buzzer. Her first bucket here in the second half. A nice rip and go.
That was off a putback at that to close out the first half. Groholski with the nifty reverse.
That is a tough finish. Delia Daniels, so much length under the rim at 6'4", and Groholski just finding a tiniest window off of that backboard.
Groholski, the sophomore from Wisconsin, leading Minnesota with now 10 points. Ladine will drive, almost turn it over. Steins along the baseline. A risky pass, it was kicked. Nehemiah Holloway coming in for Minnesota, as well as Kennedy Click. We're deeper on the bench for this team, trying to get a break here for Hart and Heyer. This is a Minnesota team with 3 starters, make that 4 starters playing over 30 minutes a game. Daniels now calling for the ball. Great look for Briggs, looking back to back. And the foul is going to go on Holloway, trying to fend off Daniels on the glass.
Nehemiah Holloway fresh into the game. Oh yeah, just kind of grabbed Daniels with 2 hands and threw her to the floor.
Daniels, one of the most solid post players in the Big Ten. Has a size advantage here, though, and she's again going to get the ball in the post facing up. Same play, but an offensive foul is going to go on that screen set by Briggs in the corner.
A couple of really nice cross-court passes from Delea Daniels. The turnover there for Washington on the moving screen.
Battle against Sellers. This has been a fun matchup to watch. Two very talented young point guards. Click, working her way to the rim and will bank it in.
Yeah, impressive, right off the bench. Didn't see the floor in the first half, but Kennedy Click, aggressive take. We've seen these Gopher guards really take it strong to the rim to get back in this game.
Daniels thought about that one-on-one against Holloway, is going to take it this time. Uses every bit of that pivot and too strong. Battle, full head of steam, and she's going to be shooting too.
How about the length of those strides from Amaya Battle? Picking that ball up and just skating her way to the rim. Starts with the rebound, and then Amaya Battle going coast to coast, right to left. Getting herself to the free throw line.
Amaya Battle, all Big Ten, honorable mention. One of my favorite stories about her this season was when she reached 1,000 points against Indiana, a game they won. She said, after the game, we're all huddled together, we're cheering, we're celebrating, thinking, what a great win. And they said, no, we're cheering for you. It was just so cool and casual. She doesn't think about those kind of accolades.
Yeah, she really seems like a selfless teammate. She's out there to do whatever it takes for her team to win. We highlighted all the categories she leads this team in, but she is really dialed in right now on defending El Ladine.
Ladine gets the switch. Holloway, a tremendous athlete on her right now. The short corner shot is good, right along the baseline from Steins.
This Washington team, we mentioned the three-point shooting, but just efficient as a whole. They've done a really nice job of driving and kicking, moving that ball to find uncontested looks.
And Kim, this is where they're comfortable right now. They're shooting 49%, 7 of 18 from 3. That's where they want to be at. Battle no good from 3. And Washington will push again under 5 minutes to play in this third quarter. Washington's led by as many as 9 in this contest. Minnesota tied it up in the first. And the Huskies have been trying to shake them since. They go under the screen. That is a no-no because Sellers is magnificent from 3.
Yeah, Savia Sellers, 40% on the season from deep. Second in the Big Ten. 2 players get caught underneath that screen. She makes them pay.
Can't imagine she sees much of that this season. Shooting 40% from long range after shooting 30% as a freshman last year. We're going to step aside. Washington leading 45-38 here in the third.
Yeah, Huskies have gotten some separation by way of the three-point shot. Savia Sellers, the sophomore from Alaska, drains the triple.
Our Neighborhood Watch presented by State Farm. The winner of this one moving on to face fifth-seeded Michigan. That all-freshman-led surprise team. After us is Nebraska and Rutgers, followed by one of the hottest teams coming into the tournament, Iowa against Wisconsin, who just played to close out the regular season. So just sit on your couch, bring a screen with you wherever you go. Plenty of basketball coming your way here from Indianapolis.
Yeah, Sloan, it is pretty crazy to think that Iowa in bracketology is probably looking at a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament, yet they are an 11 seed here in Indianapolis. That is a scary team in the bracket. They have won 8 of 10. Of course, the only team to take down USC this season.
A lot of conversations today, folks around the conference, everyone excited here. Have you ever seen a day one like this? Look at the double-digit seeds that we have on the court on day one.
Yeah, I mean, we will maybe see 4 NCAA tournament teams in this group of 6. Both of these teams hoping to hear their name called, but certainly Nebraska and Iowa pretty firmly in the bracket at this point.
Sellers had a hand in her face, and she is feeling it right now.
We talked about just how good this team is from 3. That is their 4th 3 of the 3rd quarter, 9th of the game.
Click is too strong, and Kim, 8 is their season average. Already here, not done with the 3rd quarter. She's making plays as well. Sellers is unstoppable right now.
This Huskies team, so dangerous in a tournament setting because of the offensive efficiency they bring. They're a team that can easily knock down double-digit threes, and then the transition bucket there, pretty as well.
10-0 run for the Huskies, trying to seize control of this game. They get another stop and defensive rebound. Sellers looks in complete command right now, directing traffic to sophomore point guard. Still looking to get it into the post. She's going to reset. 10 to shoot for the Huskies. Confidence sky high here in the 3rd quarter. Sellers tries to get herself free and drops another dime inside.
Xavier Sellers, hard to believe she is only a sophomore in this league. We see how she can score the ball, and then we've seen some pretty dimes for her as well. And Washington starting to pull away here, a lot in part to Xavier Sellers. Just a sophomore, has knocked down a couple of triples in this game, 3 to be exact.
The Huskies opening up their largest lead of the game on a 12-0 run and getting hot from 3-point range. Their 2nd in Big Ten play at 8 per game. They have 9 already.
Yeah, multiple players getting involved in the action. That was Tegan Brown. She has 2. Ella Dean Crafty off of the screen. She's 3 of 6. And Xavier Sellers, 3 of 6 as well. I think that reaction maybe means dial it up. You know, we're a little older than the players on the court, trying to figure out what that might mean, but they are already above the season average. And Sloan, really in Big Ten play, as a team, they shot 40%, their top 10 in the country in their percentage on the season. And like I said a couple of moments ago, a team who can shoot the ball like this is very dangerous in a win-or-go-home tournament setting.
I'm going to try and find that out and then do the investigation to see what that celebration means. No answer from Minnesota there on that possession. And even then, out of the timeout, looking a little out of sorts on that inbound.
Yeah, Minnesota is going to have to start with defense here to try to get back to disrupting this Washington team. There it is. And see if they can get a little bit of an answer from the defense to offense.
Rose pushing right into Sellers is denied. Groholski, a great look at a three. She's got it.
And we saw Minnesota respond well out of a timeout in the second quarter to get themselves back in the game. An important 2 minutes and change here to see if they can position themselves better heading into the fourth quarter.
She's got 13 points, the next highest for Minnesota, higher with 9. The sophomore leading the way, taking over in this quarter with both her and Sellers. Ledeen getting a friendly bounce. There's nothing she can't do.
Well, she's so good from behind the arc, but then she's equally as effective at taking that overplay and putting it on the bounce, and her finishes have been exceptional. High arcing bounces off glass.
19 points for Ledeen after putting up 26 against Minnesota 1 week ago. 9 on the clock for Rose, putting her head down and in trouble. Battle weaving through and 1.
And that was a good offensive possession for Minnesota because they went inside out. They changed sides of the floor, and that allowed an opening to open up for Amaya Battle. And that secondary help defender kind of shies away from her, and she's able to get right to the rack.
This is gut check time for Minnesota here in the postseason, already trying to solidify themselves as an NCAA tournament team, needing a win here to try and do that. They've been in the conversation all season long. Still don't have that quad 1 win, and boy, here winning in Indianapolis would be give them a little bit more assurance.
Yeah, they've had some comebacks. They had a game against Northwestern. They trailed by 16 in the fourth quarter. They nearly came back on Ohio State in overtime. So they've been behind before and have crawled their way back in games.
Against Maryland, too, they are used to it. This team with a ton of fights. Trying to get a stop here. Sellers leaves it short, and they get the shot clock violations. They try and dig out of this hole now at 10 points.
Yeah, again, impressed with how they have responded out of timeouts, and it's really started with more attention to detail on the defensive end.
Battle takes a bump, gets a whistle.
And of course, the team wants to get to a point where you respond within the game. You don't have to rely on your coach calling a timeout. But so far, that's what's worked for Dawn Plitzewhite as Amaya Battle has really stayed aggressive. Sellers not a fan of the call.
That's the 5th team foul on Washington. So free throws here for Battle, 77% this season. Named to the All Big Ten honorable mention team. Cutting her turnovers down this season as well. She's taken big leaps year after year and putting it to the test here in the postseason. Sellers now being guarded by Rose. Coach Plitzewhite changing up that matchup. Sellers setting up Daniels, gets the switch. 8 seconds to shoot. Groholski takes it away. Sellers tried to affect it this time, though. Groholski finishes. 4 seconds left. Ledeen behind the back, behind a screen, floats it up. And just off back iron, Minnesota makes this more interesting heading into the fourth quarter. Washington, though, on top, 54-48. Objective analysis, I'm open to that, but he is
Spiking whatever that was with all the glow in the dark.
Daniels, beautiful move along the baseline, and Washington picking up where they left off.
Yeah, Washington hasn't really needed to get Daniels going inside because of how well they've shot the 3 ball, but a good option for them as well with her size inside.
Hart's calling for it in the post. Battle going one-on-one, turns it over. Steins will push up the floor. Numbers for the Huskies. And she'll finish it off herself off the glass.
And that was a really good defensive stand from the Huskies, who did not allow Amaya Battle to get to the rim, to get to the spot, and it forced the turnover.
Battle gets the switch. 10 seconds to shoot for the Gophers. Hart has the mismatch. The double team comes. She's trapped. It is higher for 3. Great effort by Gracholski, collapsing on that ball. Can't get it to fall from 3 either. Washington getting set back up on the offensive end. 9 threes today, above their season average. 53% overall for one of the most efficient teams in the country. And another.
And that's, unfortunately, you can't defend Washington like that. Amaya Battle was defending the shooter in the 3 and got completely sucked into Sellers on the ball handle.
Gracholski can't answer on the other end, gets it right back, floats it up and in. Steins, meanwhile, on the other side, becomes the 3rd Husky to double figures. Ball in her hands right now.
You have to stay attached to the shooters, which is almost any guard that steps on the floor for Washington.
Daniels, another blow by, and she is fouled. Who will survive and who will die? The Emmy-winning competition show The Traitors is back for a new season. Stream the finale this Thursday only on Peacock.
Sounds like it will match the level of intensity of the Big Ten tournament this week.
That could be honestly the motto for the tournament. I think it's a great point. So far, Washington opening up a 12-point lead here in the 4th. They've led by as many as 14 points. With the red-hot shooting Big Ten fans have now become accustomed to.
Yeah, their offense has just been so good, efficient like it has been all season, shooting above 50% here into the 4th quarter.
Rose, difficult shot, that doesn't fall. Minnesota shooting at 37% from the floor. Sellers slowing it down. There's a big reason why they built a double-digit lead in the first place, showing not just her skill, but her leadership. 10 to shoot now for Daniels. Backing down against McKinney, was a stout defender and turned over. Rose lobbing it up ahead to Battle. Now Gracholski one-on-one, looking inside to Hire. Again, Sellers kisses it off glass.
Really crafty inside from Hire a couple times now. We've seen her just keep that ball alive inside, use her footwork, and Washington gonna call a timeout.
63-52 is the lead for the Huskies. 6:44 remaining in this game. It is game 1 of day 1 of the Big Ten Women's Basketball Tournament in Indianapolis. Just a couple days ahead of Selection Saturday, Selection Sunday, trying to get ahead of myself. March 16th, first the men and then the women.
What is Goldie doing there with the backwards?
He didn't quite spin his head all the way around. He just got confused, is all. Trying to ignite the Gophers, a team trailing by 11 here as we approach the midway point of this 4th quarter. You mentioned it, Kim, you cannot ever count Minnesota out of the game, down double digits at Ohio State, forced overtime. They've done it 2 other times this season. Sellers, though, fouled right here, 4.4 seconds on the shot clock.
Yeah, we have seen Minnesota answer a couple times within this game, but it's going to be tough to overcome a double-digit hole with the way that Washington has shot the ball in this game.
Daniels hands it off to Ladine, still sitting at 19 points. Was the catalyst for her team from the beginning, then Sellers taking that mantle. Here she goes in the paint, forcing it up, and somehow in.
Xavier Sellers, truly a rising star in this conference across the country, I would say. Such a talented guard, can score from anywhere on the floor.
From Alaska, loves doing all the outdoor things, just as you would imagine any Alaska native. staying in the Pacific Northwest and making an imprint her first season in the Big Ten. Another stop by the Huskies. Sellers up to 13 points.
And now Washington can start to think time and score a little bit, be patient in their offense, look for a really good look.
And that's exactly what Sellers is doing, taking it all the way to the rim.
Sellers now up to 15 points. We know how good of a threat she is from behind the arc, shooting at 40%, so you have to play up on her. But the problem is, she's been just as good on the blow-bys, getting into the paint, and help has not been there in time. That was an easy 2 for Sellers.
We're going to step aside momentarily here in Indianapolis. These two players for Washington, Sellers and Ledeen, magnificent today. Combined 6 of 9 from three-point range to ignite their team.
Yeah, it was really Ledeen who got things going in the first quarter, and then Sellers has really erupted here in the second half. And credit to Tina Langley for assembling such a talented roster. When you look at their record, 9-9 in the Big Ten, I don't think that tells the story of just how good this team is, but they have been surging into this tournament, winners of their last 4 games. They've been on the road a ton, traveling. It hasn't been easy as many of the teams are navigating this new layout of the conference, but they have been really impressive here throughout the day. 56% shooting so far for the Huskies.
And this is for a Husky team where everything is new to them, the locations, the travel schedule, the opponents. And as you mentioned, winning 4 straight games, recovering from a 2-8 stretch and playing their best basketball of the season right now. But Grocholski trying to pull Minnesota. 67-54 is the deficit.
Yeah, and Minnesota has to start working quickly on the defensive end. You see some increased pressure here, trying to get Washington to force up shots earlier, or in a better case scenario, get a turnover and run it back the other way.
Steins leaving it for Sellers, decides against that 3. She's tripped up. .430 remaining in this game. Washington has been sitting pretty comfortably at a double-digit advantage for most of the second half. As McKinney whistled for the foul.
Yeah, Sellers, she continues to attack those closeout. You have to close out hard on her because of how she can shoot the 3, and she's read everything really well.
Washington also having to take care of the basketball. You talk about time and score, making good decisions down the stretch. One of those is having Ledeen shoot it. And it will stay Washington basketball.
Don't forget, another 20 on the shot clock, so an opportunity for them to pull it out and drain some more clock here. They've been very patient offensively at times when they wanted to be.
When Washington's offense is humming, which we've seen at multiple points this afternoon, it is a thing of beauty. 55% from the field, 10 threes today. And that's just their identity.
17 assists as well. 17 of their 27 field goals assisted.
What a move by Daniels. Can't get the touch, but keeps it alive.
And that's what can't happen if you're Minnesota right now. You're trying to extend this game. You want to limit the possession time for Washington, and they give it right back to the Huskies. Just not connected there. Grocholski wasn't looking.
Great block by Holloway. He's such an effort player. Great athleticism. And then given right back.
And every possession so critical in a tournament setting, and tremendous block. And then they try to get it up the floor for Grocholski, who had her back to the play, and hand it right back to Washington.
Plays like that, Kim, uncharacteristic of Minnesota. Only 7 turnovers in this game. They're 6th in the nation in fewest turnovers, but part of that reason is because of their connectedness and communication. You don't often see plays like that. Thrillifying news. The blockbuster Oscar-winning movie Wicked is streaming March 21st only on Peacock. I think the two of us are trying to preserve our voices down the stretch. Otherwise, maybe we could have heard some magic right here.
Singing in Gravity. That's exciting news. I will certainly be rewatching Wicked. That's the first I'm hearing of that news, and very excited.
Approaching 3:30 to play. Washington has handled this late game situation very strong so far, but a high percentage look from Sophie Hart.
Yeah, they got to work quickly, and that was just a direct post entry to Hart, who uses her size for a quick 2.
Look at that pass into Daniels, getting the roll. It is all Huskies here in the 4th.
Yeah, Washington has just had answers for everything that Minnesota has given them.
We are seeing the best of Savia Sellers in this game. The shooting, the playmaking, the confidence to make plays like this.
Still marveling over the fact that she is just a sophomore. The poise, the decision-making. Savia Sellers, 15 points. And look at the vision, perfectly placed to delay a Daniels with a one-handed pass. 4th dime of the game for Sellers.
She is quarterbacking this team right now and looking like it with throws like that. What a Big Ten tournament debut for Savia Sellers. Ledeen snares the rebound, gets it away from McKinney. Under 3 minutes to go.
I was just thinking, Ledeen has had a lot of rebounds. That was her 8th. She's really good at getting that rebound and leading the break for the Huskies.
McKinney barrels her way to the rim. And free throws coming up, stopping the clock.
And this is where Washington wants to be smart in their shot selection. Ledeen has had the hot hand, but that was a quick one that led to a rebound and a run out with hardly any time off the clock for Minnesota.
McKinney shooting free throws here. There's 6 points today for the freshman. Grocholski leading them with 19 points, also 5 assists and 6 rebounds. But they have struggled to get out of this hole against one of the most efficient shooting teams in the country. Dean is going to retreat now, then go back on the attack, finding Daniels, who is fouled. They look so poised and confident here to try and close out this game.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same, just steady against the pressure. Ledeen is really good at just navigating the pace of the game, getting the ball to the middle of the floor, not fazed by the full court pressure that came on.
Delia Daniels talking about her with Coach Langley before the game, who has had such an impact on this Husky program. And Coach Langley said, gosh, I'm happy I didn't cry. I made it through talking about her without crying to you guys. And that just shows the emotional connection, the relationship that they have, the trust that Daniels put in Langley for her vision for this program and paying dividends in moments like this.
Yeah, she had started her career at Cal, a Seattle native, has now played 3 seasons for the Huskies.
Grocholski spinning every which way. Brought down by Daniels. Another stop by the Huskies. They've been handling this pressure superbly as well. Any way you look at it, Washington has dictated this game. Ledeen stumbles and flips it up and in.
Just continue to be so impressed by Ledeen, how quickly she can read a defense, kind of sensing that a closeout was coming, and she just slices right through 2 defenders before they can get there.
Out of the hands of McKinney, back the other way.
Just an instinctual player. Elle Ledeen has made such a big jump in her junior season, and you can just see she anticipated that double coming, but saw the angle she had, a direct line right to the rim. We've seen her knock down 3 triples. We've seen her take it to the rack. 21 points and 8 rebounds, 4 assists for Elle Ledeen.
Sellers loses the basketball. Looking up ahead, it's a jump ball. It's going to be a 10-second violation. Minnesota forcing the turnover. .126 on the clock. Now 13 turnovers for the Huskies.
Gophers trying to extend this game by forcing turnovers, and got one there on the full court press.
McKinney gets her way to the rim, and one.
Minnesota not going away anytime soon. Tori McKinney, talented freshman for Dawn Plitzewite's group, spaces up, and a hard attack right to that left. Trying to keep this Big Ten tournament run alive for the Gophers.
Maya Battle says, I told her, you're my favorite player. She is a dog on the court with her intensity, and bringing it here late in Indianapolis, trying to put the Huskies on their heels, but Sellers calmly gets it over, feeding Ledeen, and then a cutting Daniels. The Huskies, magnificent basketball.
Textbook press break there, all starting with Savia Sellers, good decision-making, ball changes sides of the floors, and Ledeen just gets Daniels on that left side cut.
McKinney, 2 shorts. Holloway follows it up. The full court pressure continues for Minnesota. Final minute of this game, 76-63. And Grocholski delivers a foul.
And most points of the game, Washington has broken this pressure really well. Sellers over to Ledeen, who draws 3 defenders, and you see the mobility and the speed that Daniels can bring as the 6'4" center of this team, that just filling that left lane.
In Big Ten tournament history, only 4 double-digit seeds have won multiple games in this tournament. And it feels like Washington, with the way they shoot, their connectedness, how tough they are to stop, could add themselves to their group. The winner of this one moves on to play number 5 Michigan with that freshman-led team. A tremendous season for the Wolverines. And a freshman of the year on that roster as well, Minnesota's own Olivia Olsen. Seven seconds separating shot and game clock before we complete game number 1 of the Big Ten Women's Basketball Tournament. Foul going on Minnesota, 20.9 seconds left. Washington lost to the Wolverines in Ann Arbor on January 15th, 82-69. Sellers, though, had 30 points in that game.
You want to be playing your best at this time of year, and I think you could say that about Washington. Some big wins coming into this tournament versus Oregon, versus Nebraska, all teams that are seated ahead of them in this tournament. This would be their 5th win in a row.
Shot clock is off. Grocholski launching a 3. And Minnesota was never able to summon enough against the hot shooting Huskies to pull out of a deficit. What a way to make a Big Ten tournament debut.